Welcome to episode 1 of this Flourish in Friendship podcast series. My name is Misty Hughes. I am a certified transformational life coach who loves to lead women into the understanding of who God created them to be and live, lead, and love from that place of authentic abundance. This Flourish in Friendship podcast series is for every kingdom-minded mom who's ever wondered, why is it so hard to make and keep friendships as an adult? Why do I feel lonely even though I'm surrounded by people? What do I do with the grief of shifting relationships? Well, Mom, hold on to all those hats because we're going to be going there and many more places in today's episode and in the episodes that are yet to come. We're going to talk about biblically, emotionally, and practically what friendships look like and how to cultivate them. Today, we're starting this series by exploring what it really looks like to flourish in friendship, not just for a season, but over the long haul. And I can't think of a better person to start this conversation with than my dear, beloved, longtime friend, Marnie Collier.
I was thinking about this time and just going, God, really, our relationship is just, he started it and he's carried it. And it's like a miracle in a way. It's really, really amazing what he's given to us.
Marnie and I met over 20 years ago. We were two single moms navigating life, faith, and a deep desire to raise our children with excellence. We co-founded, there was a third person, so is that tri-founded? How do you say that? Anyway, we tri-founded what eventually became the Single Mom KC. But back then it was just 3 women and a God-sized vision, a whole lot of grace, and prayer. Because Marnie always made sure we stayed in the place of prayer, seeking God first. Over the years, Marnie and I have walked through seasons of deep connection. We've walked through seasons of distance, and we've walked through seasons of dreaming, disappointment, and divine detours. But the friendship, it's flourished because we've been intentional and we've fought for friendship. So I want to tell you a little bit more about my amazing friend, Marnie. She loves Jesus, and after he took time transforming her life from a deeply broken place, which you'll hear more about, she came away with powerful keys for healing and transformation. Compassion, discernment, and a deep well of experience are the hallmarks of her life. Marnie has studied inner healing, wellness, neuroscience, and trauma because she knows firsthand what it means to trade beauty for ashes. Marnie's a certified professional life coach and holds a BA in education. And if you ever see her on her day off, she's probably walking with a friend or singing at her piano or both. Marnie is married to Phil, and together they have 6 married children and a growing passel of grandkids. Marnie, it is so fun to introduce you, but I know there's so much more to your story than these few little sentences. Would you take a moment and share your heart with why you're so passionate about healing and why friendship is so important to you?
I'd love to. Thank you. Well, I have to give all the credit right up front to Jesus because I ended up being in a very, very broken place. I described it later as having been crushed to fine powder. I ended up in a very abusive marriage. And as a result of what all I had walked through, I didn't even recognize what my identity or my personality was. I was so disconnected from my heart. And Jesus lovingly led me to various women along the path who understood how the heart works and how areas of trauma can be restored. And I didn't realize it as I was going along. I was just trying to learn how to be a loving mom and keep my eyeballs above water. But as I studied and as I learned and sought for answers, the Lord was adding keys into my life. And those keys being added drew me into a place of compassion for what it takes to have your heart actually grow whole again. Now I love to be with people and experience Jesus together and watch him at work in their lives, putting their hearts back together like he's been doing for me.
We're here today to talk about friendship, about our friendship, tell stories, the good, the hard, the journey. So, if you don't mind, I'm just going to dive in. We all come into adulthood with preconceived ideas about lots of things, friendship being one, based on where we grew up, how we grew up, our environment, the things that people said. So, what did you learn about friendship growing up?
Hmm. My dad, who is now in heaven with Jesus, would often say, make friends wherever you go. Friends are one of your biggest treasures in life. And I watched him place a value on people. I watched him be loyal, honest, and compassionate. He was a model in my life for developing real and lasting friendships.
That is such a gift that was given to you. I know that wasn't necessarily my story. I grew up in a home where there was mistrust and fear. And so I am thankful for your story because it has played into the longevity of our relationship and your ability to have compassion and faithfulness when things get messy. Um, so let's talk about our friendship. We met back in 2003, just a few years ago, right? But what do you remember about our first meeting?
We both had moved into Kansas City nearly the same time, and we were involved in a larger ministry. And Missy was in the coffee shop at that ministry. And I remember seeing her the very first time I saw her. She had a storybook out on the table, and two of her sons were right there. And she was reading aloud to them in a coffee shop. And I instantly thought, I want to get to know that woman. I loved seeing that she was completely willing to invest in them and to be creative with them and to love on them right in the midst of a coffee shop. And I thought that was beautiful. I was drawn. So I went over and said hello.
The thing I remember about our early getting to know you times, because we were in the thick of raising kids, there was food pantry. And I just remember time together in those lines, just talking and getting to know each other
Yeah.
there.
That was an opportune moment because it just kind of brought us at an appointed time and place.
Yes.
And that gave us a chance to have conversations with each other and have another moment when we intersect. And I think
Yeah.
it's important because sometimes friendships begin in really simple ways and you begin to notice the other person and you begin to ask them things and share with them, and it builds trust a little at a time.
It was just a natural thing because our kids were roughly the same age. Our kids were also connecting as well. I've always told people, if you really want to get to know me, if you really want to be my friend, go on a road trip with me. It seems like I'm pretty open, but I don't let everybody in to the deep places. And on a road trip, there is opportunity for extended time together and extended conversation. And so we took a road trip, right?
Yes, we did.
Oh,
I
yeah.
remember back at that time, you said something about good friends and road trips. And I love road trips too. So I'm like, okay, this is probably going to test and challenge our friendship just a little, but we will probably come out of this deeper.
Yeah, and we did. Thanks for going on my friend adventures with me. So Proverbs 27:17 talks about iron sharpening iron. So Marnie, how would you say I've sharpened you in our friendship?
I love that question. That's such a good question. And I think to answer it honestly might be helpful for people because when you get down to the nitty gritty of relationships, you are going to find areas in the other person that do sharpen you. And as if you can imagine a knife being sharpened, it may not be the most pleasant experience. But what happened with us, I think, is that God brought us together and our personalities are not the same. That would probably be an understatement. And but our personalities are so helpful to each other. Some of the things that I've seen in you is a gift of faith. You are very wonderful at drawing people together. You invest in a lot of people in relationships. You're a straight shooter. There are ways that you love to overcome a challenge by proclaiming and declaring and maybe dancing and worshiping your way through it. And some of those were different than the ways that I approach things. And sometimes I might have been a little bit more inclined to meditate and ponder about how to navigate through something. And you would come with a place of declaration and faith. And sometimes it felt a little bit jarring to the way that I would have approached it. But over time, I started to see that your choice to be positive, to have faith, to believe that God would be good, could draw me up to a place where I could see like you were seeing in a from a higher place. I noticed that when you could draw a lot of people to yourself and gather people around a mission or a vision, I was finding myself being more watered when I would be in a more quiet place with just one person or a couple of people. And I learned in relationship with you to expand in the area of friendships and relationships. I started to have a bigger circle of people around me. And as I learned to trust that someone that had a different personality than me could really love me, and a person with a different way of expressing things could really have a lot to add, I grew. It was almost like adding facets to a gem. And I think I am a better reflection of the light of the Lord because of you.
Okay, that was absolutely stunning. Marnie, your words are always like ointment to my heart. The way that you communicate hard things is inspiring and provoking. I do recognize an intense level of stretching that you are describing. And again, thank you for remaining faithful in those seasons of being stretched. You communicate it so beautifully and with such kindness towards me. So I really appreciate that. Our friendship grew out of both of us staying in it, believing that there was a greater purpose, not always understanding what that purpose was, and not even leaning into the sharpening that was happening. But on this end, we see and recognize and are so grateful for the work that God has done using us in each other's lives to expand, refine, and sharpen all of those things that needed to happen. Now, I want to take a moment and respond to that same question. You are all about the heart and being connected. I have seen how the Lord has used you with my own heart. And it's been one of those things that I've walked away saying, I want to be like that. I want to offer that same kind of gift to others that Marnie continually gives me in caring for my heart. You have helped refine me to be able to see things from a different perspective. And you have always helped me connect with my own heart. I think sometimes in the busyness and the way I'm wired, it's easy to get caught up in the next to do, in the vision, to go there, to declare we are there. And Your presence helps me slow down and regroup. And I will say, I haven't always been comfortable in that place and space. But one thing that you have always brought to the table, no matter where we're at or who we're with, is this mindfulness to pray first. And I've always told the Lord, I want to be a woman who prays first. And so I've really appreciated your courage, your ability to say, hey, let's stop, let's pray, and to call us back to seek God first. Your friendship has really taught me to consider my words before I say them. You've strengthened me in that ability and in my understanding of the beauty and the value of slowing down, of pressing pause before you go and leap off the cliff, of connecting with my heart before just stepping out to do something because it's a good idea. This has been a tremendous gift, not only for myself, but for my children and for other people I have given leadership to. It hasn't always been something I've readily accepted or wanted to do, but something that God saw that I needed. And in his kindness and in his mercy towards me, he gave you to me as a friend, and he gave us both the tenacity to stay in that friendship when it hasn't always been comfortable or easy, but it was always for our good. When we offend or even when we reject the Lord, he doesn't do that to us. He's just always faithful
Right.
in friendship. And, you have always been that, and you are that kind of friend and a reflection. And that is a very unique quality and a true, true gift. You have definitely made me a better person by helping my heart heal and come alive and giving me space to be messy in the journey of that and loving me in all the messiness and all the process of that. We've been friends, but we've also been ministry partners, which could really ruin a friendship too, couldn't it?
It places a whole extra dimension.
I don't like to do anything alone. I want a partner in crime. And I'm like, hey, Marnie, I got this idea. You want to come along for the ride? So, my question is, why did you say yes?
I love that. Oh, well, that's a great question. And the honest answer is I felt drawn. I recognized that what you had a vision, but even though it was a baby version of the vision, right? And I had no idea what it was going to become. I don't think either of us did. But I saw that you were fostering an environment for the Lord to touch people. And that is a big thing for my heart. I wanted to see people be touched, and I wanted to be in a setting where he would have room to be known and we would have room to know him. And I felt that happening. I saw that in our friendship, and I had a hunch that that was going to transfer over into whatever was forming here in baby form. That's like a recipe for me of I want to be in is if it's a setting that he is being invited to touch people and people are being united with him and honoring him.
But then there came a time in that whole journey where you felt like the Lord was calling you away. So, what did that look like in our relationship and in our friendship?
I think there was a time there that I was really getting overwhelmed. There were things that we were walking through as a family, and I felt like sometimes my eyeballs were above water and sometimes they were not. I finally realized that I needed to honor a change of seasons. I tend to love to be loyal and faithful, and that can keep me in places though past when it's time. to transition and even past my own capacity. But when I did recognize it and when I let my heart open up to the Lord about it, I realized I've got to make some changes. So for a season, there wasn't as much connection as, at least not in a leadership role in ministry together. And we had to navigate that also in a friendship place because, like you said, when you add ministry in and you have a friendship, you've got some challenge that you've also added into the relationship. You actually are putting more weight on the relationship. There's more responsibilities, there's more need to communicate. We needed extra grace to transition during that time. And I remember one time we were in a worship setting and we had been through a lot. I was going through a lot. And honestly, it felt like more than I could bear. We weren't in a place where we were as close at that time, but we both wanted to be. We had just been through some hard challenges. We were in a worship time, and the Lord just began to express his joy in that worship time. And it started to just really land on our hearts too. And I remember the Lord just being so kind to us because I think he helped us to find our way through in that hard time by bringing a whole splash of joy that was beyond us. I think he just poured a bucket of joy out from heaven over us, over our hearts. We needed that. I believe God formed our friendship, and in that way, he was just refreshing it and replenishing it because we were hitting a hard place, and he knew that. And he knew our longing to be drawn towards each other. But even in places, sometimes I think in friendship where we don't know how to find our way back to the other person's heart, as we both seek him, he knows. He knows how. He knows the road back. I think it gave us buoyancy in our friendship to begin to have a better connection at that time and to have more grace and to move forward. I just count it as one of those miracles from the Lord. He's such a kind father. And he was really kind to us in that moment. He gave us both something, I think, that went beyond ourselves.
Yeah, and it was a shared experience. Like,
Yes,
we got to be in that together. I think that's always super important to have those shared experiences. Wasn't anything we made happen. It was
right.
just the Lord. That happens so often in friendships and relationships. There is a growing apart. And a lot of it is because of a transition of one person or the other. I don't know about you, but when I became a single mom, a lot of my friendships went through distancing. But the ones that were God ordained, eventually they came back into that place of connection. But it's hard. It's hard when you feel the pulling apart and the breaking away, and you don't necessarily want it. You don't understand it. You were wise in knowing your limitations and saying, I've got to pull back. This is more than what God's asking me to do right now in this season of life.
Mhm.
Even though I, quote, understood and wanted to bless you. And you even said, will you pray over me? And I want you to move into what God has for you. But as one who struggles with abandonment, I mean, it's hard. But you were so bold in just saying, my season has changed and this is not the best right now. And you weren't really saying no to friendship. You were saying no to this ministry aspect.
I think you're making a good point. When we have an area that our heart has a wound, friendship may touch that spot. And if we can notice that it's not about that person personally leaving us, and we can allow the person to transition in their season, we have the best likelihood of maintaining the friendship. And And you did that. You gave me that gift.
You walked it out with such excellence because you were honest and you were transparent and you just didn't pull away or ghost. You invited me to let go. There was
Yes.
just such wisdom. You do things in such a way that there's not a lot of other option than healing. So if anybody is feeling like they need to pull away from a relationship for a season, just talk to Marnie. She will counsel you. She's really good at it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I have to give so much credit to Jesus there because I certainly did not start out that way. But that's one of the fruits that comes when your heart is getting healed by Him.
The best. I love that. He's given you so much. That's what you love people with. That's the place you love people out of. That's the place you bring healing through your coaching out of. You are a coach and you do help people get in touch with Jesus because he is the great healer. So imagine that you're sitting across the table sharing a cup of tea with that mom and she is just struggling. What would you say to her heart as she's sitting there sipping her tea, maybe a few tears falling in her tea?
One of the places I think is the most important in friendship is kindness and learning to be a friend to your own heart. A lot of times we come to friendships trying to find what we're not willing to give to ourselves. And we need a kind, gracious attitude towards ourselves. I had a chance to share with a daughter today, and I just said, if we could see the wounds physically on ourselves that our souls are carrying and others people's souls are carrying, we would be so much kinder and full of grace. It would be so clear to us why people are behaving the way they are if we could just see all the wounds right out on people's person. So I would encourage every mom that's maybe feeling like I'm waiting for a deep friend. I feel a longing to be seen. I feel a longing to be known and to be understood. While you wait, just learn to be kind and grace filled towards your own heart and allow Jesus access to the places that are feeling stuck. Just develop a really honest way of talking with Him and take risks with Jesus and ask Him for the kinds of friends that you need. And in the meantime, learn to be that friend for your own heart and learn to allow Him to be that kind of friend for you.
Love it. See why I love this woman so much, Marnie? Please share with us how to connect with you.
Well, probably the best way right now is old fashioned email. And I don't even have it into my married name yet. So it'll have to be in my name before I was married. You can email me at Marnie, Marnie, Sutton, Sutton, coaching at gmail.com.
Okay. And I will put that link in the show notes. Um, so yeah, get a hold of Marnie and see how she can help you walk through some of the things maybe that the Lord is speaking to your heart for healing. Yeah. So she has great experience and great resources. And best of all, she's a good friend of Jesus. So, just doesn't get any better than that.
Thank you. Thank you so
Yeah.
much. Well, thanks for doing all the work of creating this so that there could be a place to bring it to others.
Friend, I hope today's conversation with Marnie stirred something in your heart. Maybe a memory, maybe a longing, maybe even a little grief or hope about your own friendships. If you're finding yourself in a season of transition, wondering how to repair or rekindle what's been lost, or even how to start fresh, let's talk. I'd love to invite you to book a free clarity call with me. No pressure, just a safe space to explore what healthy, life-giving friendship could look like for you in this season. You'll find the link right here in the show notes. And don't forget to come back next week for episode 2, Lonely But Not Alone. Why friendship feels so hard right now. We'll dive into the real reasons behind today's loneliness epidemic, what might be going on beneath the surface, and how we can begin to heal and reconnect, first with ourselves and then with others. Hey, be sure to follow the podcast so you don't miss a single part of this amazing series. Share this episode with a friend, maybe someone you want to grow deeper with. It's a great opportunity for a conversation to begin. And if today encouraged you, would you leave a quick review? It means the world and helps other moms find this message of hope. Until next time, remember, when you shine, you give others permission to shine too. So, hey mom, let's rise and shine.